Welcome to pkpioneers.com tutorials.
So let me show you how to define foreign currency and exchange rates. So let's go over to System Preferences and we'll go to Local Preferences, Currency. Here you go. So from here you can define all your foreign currencies and then define the exchange rates between your base currency and each foreign currency. So for example, let's say that we accept Japanese yen at our stores. So we need to define Japanese yen as a currency and then define the exchange rate between US dollars, our base currency, and the Japanese yen. So inside this table here, let's hit the down arrow and let's type in yen. Okay, and if you want, you can type in the abbreviation, which is JPY. And while we're at it, we can type in the abbreviation for US dollars, which is USD. Great. So now we've defined a foreign currency, Japanese yen. So the next step is to define the exchange rate between the base currency, US dollar, and the Japanese yen. So for base currency, choose dollar as an example, and then select in the table yen. Down here is the exchange rate between the base currency and the selected foreign currency. As an example, the base currency being US dollar with the foreign currency being dollar, notice that the rate is a 1-to-1 ratio, which is true. 1 US dollar equals 1 US dollar. So now we have to define what is the dollar compared to the yen. So for the exchange rate, let's define a date. So we'll say as of today, the take rate, the give rate, and the cost rate. So the take rate. So the take rate can be thought of like this. So if you need to take one of the base currency, 1 US dollar, from a customer, how many yen would you take instead? And let's say that you will take 85 yen. We'll press enter. And the give rate. You can think of the give rate like this. If you had to give change back to the customer, you would give 1 US dollar, one of the base currency, or how much of the foreign currency. Let's say $85 once again. And the cost rate. The cost rate is used for certain features like foreign order cost. So if you had a supplier in Japan whose local currency is yen, and he tells you the cost of merchandise in yen, what exchange rate would you use to convert that into US dollar? So here, let's say it's also 85 yen for each dollar. So notice I'm basically putting in the same exchange rate for the give rate, the take rate, and the cost rate, which is fine. But at the same time, you don't have to. So if the normal exchange rate is $1 to 85 yen, maybe at your stores, your take rate is going to be more. So normally you would take 85 yen for every dollar, but maybe instead you're going to accept 90 yen for every dollar, building in a surcharge, right? Just for providing the service. Now on the give side, maybe you would normally give back 85 yen for every dollar, but instead you're going to give back 80 yen for every dollar. Again, you're building in a service charge, a surcharge. And for the cost rate, you're going to keep it as accurate as possible because you want to make sure that when you calculate your supplier's costs to US dollar, that it's as accurate as possible. Okay? So there you have it. That is your exchange rates. Now down here for denominations, this is also very important because you can define the denominations for the foreign currency, and this will be used for media accounts later on. It will also be used for other features like multiplier buttons and so on. Okay, so for the yen, I'm going to type this in for you. Let's say that we have a 1 yen note, and I'm going to keep typing here. Let's say they also have a 5 yen note. Let's say they have a 10 yen note and a 50 yen note and a 100 yen note and a 500 yen note, a 1,000 yen note, a 5,000 yen note, and finally a, let's say, 10,000 yen note. Okay, so these are just the denomination labels. To tell Retail Pro what they actually mean, you need to specify the multiplier. So for example, a 1 yen note is a value of 1. A 5 yen note is a value of 5. A 10 yen note is a value of 10, and so on. I'm going to type these in. The reason why this is important is because Retail Pro needs to know, especially if you're going to use these denominations to count the money in the till, right? So if you count 5 100 yen notes, well, that's a value of 100 yen each, which is 500, right? And the currency order. How would you like to see this listed on the screen? And I'll just go in the right order here. Okay, from low to high. And we're done. Now, one last step before we update. Okay, so let's go over to local preferences. Let's go to point of sale, tenders, requirements. So in the requirements table, I'm going to scroll down until I get to foreign currency, and then I'm going to say allow for foreign currency to be used on sale, maybe for change as well, maybe for SO deposits, and for media account. Okay, so this will allow the foreign currencies to be used at point of sale. Now, some retailers will accept foreign currency, but when they give change back, they give change back in the local currency. If that's the case, you may not want to check change. Okay, so I'm going to leave that off. And then let me go back to currencies to make sure everything is still there. Good. And then we'll update. And you're done.
Please like, share and subscribe.